Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, AI in Practice, How This Emerging Technology is Changing the Security Landscape. Today we have with us Steve Reinhardt. Steve is the founder and CEO of Robotic Assistance Devices, also called RAD, where he oversees the development, sales, and marketing and strategic vision for the company. Mr. Reinhardt has more than 20 years of experience in various facets of the high-tech industry as a founder of security integration firm Security Zone Incorporated and a strategic leader at Global Enterprises. Steve has extensive knowledge of diverse portfolio of technologies, developing practical, effective solutions for end-user customers. As CEO of RAD, Reinhardt leverages his extensive knowledge and interest in robotics and artificial intelligence to design and develop robotic solutions that increase business efficiency and deliver cost savings. Steve is a native of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and attended the University of Western Ontario, where he earned a dual Bachelor of Science degrees in political science and commercial studies. Artificial intelligence has been around in various ways across the globe, but just recently has emerged as a tool to help improve security operations and change the landscape as we know it. Implemented in virtual assistants, video technology, and robotics, AI is helping pioneers forge a new way of achieving safety and security for enterprises. In this webinar, you will discover how AI works, how it's being implemented, and how Robotic Assistance Devices is using AI to develop technology to drive new levels of situational awareness. My name is Julie Rolls. I'm the training manager with PSA Security Network, and I will be moderating today's call. I have just a few quick housekeeping items before I hand it over to Steve. First, if you've not already done so, please mute yourself. If you happen to have any questions throughout the course of this presentation, please type them into the chat panel and we will have time for Q&A at the end of this presentation. If you happen to run into any technical difficulties, please type that into the chat panel and I'll do my best to get you back up and running as soon as possible. With that, I'm handing it over to Steve.
Great. Thanks, Julie. Thanks for the great introduction, and thanks to everybody who's on the call this morning. Julie and my team worked pretty hard to put together a presentation that's going to hit a couple different goals for you. So we have written some very specific learning objectives. Very happy to hear feedback after the presentation, whether or not we were able to hit these objectives, and I think Julie will probably have some type of survey after the fact too. So feedback's very important to us. So learning objectives for this morning or today, wherever you're at, starts with why security robots. Talk a little bit about the need and answer the question, why are we doing this? Why is it important? Why do we think it's important? After we talk a little bit about the why, we're going to talk about, how artificial intelligence technology is applied in this context to security challenges. So that's kind of a fun topic for us to talk about. Then we get back to the company and we talk about our two artificial intelligence powered solutions, one of which of course is the robot, and one of which is something brand new, hot off the press, that we'll be demonstrating at PSA Tech in a few weeks. And then number 4, we're going to talk about how the RAD kind of ecosystem of services and support give integrators everything from peace of mind to a strong RMR option, and how we really take care of people. So I know that this is kind of a one-way dialogue until we hit question and answer. So if that's the style, then I just ask to hold your questions. And always I'm available to talk after the fact. So let's talk about why security robots, right? I know, or I think that the audience that I'm speaking to is mostly on the integrator side. And we get, on the integrator side, which is largely my background, we get a little bit of exposure to the guarding side, depending on the integrator that we're working for. But really, we've kind of been competing with guards on the integration side because we put up things like access control and CCTV, and those ultimately will reduce guard count. And customers like that because they'll find that the electronic solutions can have greater reliability and greater use than human assets. So interestingly, the integrators have kind of been in this competition with guards since the creation of the electronic security industry. I'll give you an example. One of my contacts in guarding was a second generation guarding company leader, and his dad had opened the company, and he said that he had like a Lockheed Martin contract in the 70s at some big campus in the East, and they had 20,000 guards, 20,000 human guards securing this particular facility. And when access control came out, that guard count went from 20,000 to 2,000, which is obviously remarkable. So I use that early story to illustrate the fact that, hey, we've been in competition with guards since electronics were created. So with guarding, there's systematic performance issues. It's just the fact. If you hire a guy at low wages and give him a super boring job that's repetitive and mundane, you're not going to get great performance. That's a fact. Another fact we have is increasing human guard costs. This has to do with everything from low unemployment to increasing minimum wage, just general wage pressure increasing costs, which obviously causes strain on our customers' security budgets on the guarding side. We also have an enhanced regulatory environment. So there's certain things that human guards can't do. They can't videotape it. They can't keep accurate records electronically and inherently. So there's issues there where we want to add electronics. And then of course everyone's all about getting data and analyzing the data and finding areas for improvement. Security robots answer those questions and fulfill those needs. Okay, let's take a quick look at who we are. Right now, this is our sales team, myself, Jim, and Matt. We'll probably have 2 additional sales guys on board by ISC West, and a third joining sometime before the end of the first half of the year. Jim Larson, the gentleman in the middle, he is kind of our main contact assigned to PSA. He would be on the call, however, he's in another city doing another presentation. We just kind of have to split up and divide and conquer. So Jim, myself, and Matt, very, very happy to help you as we go through this. Now, what do? We're really working hard to control everything from the dialogue to the service model to some of the solution standards that this industry, this brand new guarding industry, is going to have as their model. So we've done everything from kind of create the whole cloud to client model. We've refined the robots as a service rental model, which we'll talk about a little bit. That's important for our integrator partners that may have had experience with a different robotics company that requires large capital expenditure. We have everything wrapped, easy, nice, financed, no paperwork or very little paperwork, really trying to make things easy and quick. And really, since we're hardcore security guys, that's our background, we've really tailored the solution to solve security challenges, right, in an advanced way that gives good ROI back. At the end of the day, we're bringing hardware to sites, or we're giving hardware to you, and you guys are bringing it to sites. We're putting it on the sites, making it work like a human guard would, and then we have the whole ecosystem of software and platforms and all the other pieces that we'll maintain with you and your client. Along those lines, everything is rolled in: maintenance, service updates, training, deployment services. You're going to find that there's several elements of our company that are surprisingly mature for a company of our size, and those very specifically have to do with how we treat the customer, how we treat the integrator, our availability, and really how the words I use are we blanket our customers in service 24/7. So very important for us. Our mission statement is that we deliver artificial intelligence-based solutions that empower organizations to solve complex challenges while delivering immediate return on investment. As we go through this presentation, and as you visualize how you might bring this to some of your existing customers or new prospects that you're working to capture, I want to challenge you to kind of keep that in mind. Like these are artificial intelligence-based solutions. This is not our legacy traditional sequential processing type solutions. This is new stuff. It's a new paradigm. It's a new industry, and I'm very excited to be at this place in this industry. Because right now, artificial intelligence is one of the fastest growing branches of computer science. It's true. It's difficult for us to find artificial intelligence programmers, so to speak, because it is so hot. We have our guys, we have our teams. Artificial intelligence is empowered by, like I said, a different paradigm. I'll use that word, I'll reinforce that word throughout the presentation, whereas I talk from legacy sequential processing to modern massively parallel processing. So, because I'm assuming everyone has electronics experience and background being integrators, I want you to think about AI simply put as all of a sudden having exponentially more processing power to apply to problems than we've traditionally had. So that's kind of the easiest way for me to synthesis what is artificial intelligence. And where do we see it daily today? This is a slide that we included because if there's any myth, I mean, there's a few myths about artificial intelligence, but if there's myths about, well, it's going to come and take all the jobs and that whole routine, artificial intelligence is here. We use it. Every person really in America, most of the developed world uses it every day. Medical diagnosis, I mean, I feel more comfortable having an MRI scanned and evaluated by a machine that has ingested MRIs and their results, a million times over versus a human radiologist that may have, over the course of his career, viewed 5,000 or 10,000. So medical diagnosis right now is a perfect application for where this massive processing power and ability to compute comes in habits. We use it right now, saving lives right now. Naturally, a large press on AI is to better understand the consumer and figure out how to sell us more stuff, right? So you see it when you're cruising the internet and you're just on Amazon and you're looking for a new computer, and then you go on the Yahoo News and advertisement pops up for a new computer. So all that is AI driven and correlated. Very interesting, very fascinating science, data scientists. Siri, of course, is all Siri and Cortana and Alexa, and they're all artificial intelligence powered. And it's actually a complex application of artificial intelligence because the first element of it is what they call NLP, which is a fancy word for natural language processing. Natural language processing is heavily reliant on AI to understand our different accents, inflections, words, all these different things. So it's very much AI driven. And then, of course, taking the context of what we're saying and returning to us an answer that is relevant is also powered by AI. Smart homes, and then coincidentally, security guard robots are where we see it daily. So let's talk about security robots and how does it apply to security, right? So the first thing is when we deploy security guards, we use them to look for humans, potentially bad humans, in restricted areas. And that requires a security guard to kind of be awake, look around, constantly be on alert. And it's just been proven that is largely an impossible job, to put somebody at a remote location and expect that they're going to stay alert when 99.9% of the time, absolutely nothing's happening. It's just difficult. We're not built for it. Of course, the machine, happy to do it like it has emotions, but it's just programmed to do that. It's going to do that all day, all night, no problem, right? That in turn gets us better real-time response. I mean, we're doing the same stuff with some of the cameras, access control that you're doing right now. Having real-time response will lead to some predictive capabilities that we'll talk about a little bit here. Increases the visibility because we have the video analytics. And really, it gives our customers more information because we know where the people are. We can integrate the license plate recognition. We have fantastic software, front end and back end for this that your customers are going to love. We're going to show that at PSA Tech. So yes, this is a shameless plug, one of two shameless plugs to get you to swing by our booth at PSA Tech. All right, let's talk about some of the advantages of using robots as guarding partners. Now, generally, we want to use the words supplement or augment human guards. The robots themselves can't do everything a human can. The robot is going to be given some very specific tasks, and it's going to do those tasks very well. But they're not human replacement in all cases. What we're looking to do is take those monotonous post-up and patrolling duties, taking that back fence that your customer wants video on, but doesn't want to spend the capital on it, or just took possession of a new facility and has to do all kinds of other stuff, and they need to get some security out here. Well, they're talking to the guarding company, they're talking to their integrator, who's gonna come up with the right solution. So that's one group of high volume applications. The next is we have situations where we have hazardous materials or hazardous areas where there's an inherent danger to any humans that we may send out to go work those sites. I'm taking this call from California, and here we have a couple dozen hazmat sites that were left over from various wars and are now property of the state of California. Well, the state hires guards to go patrol these areas, and we don't quite know if there are effects on the humans that are patrolling these areas, but you certainly wouldn't catch me doing that work. And certainly the state is looking for ways to remove people from those environments. Robots themselves have a pretty wide weather band where they work, which is good. So, some guys don't like going out when it's cold or rainy. Again, robot, no difference. Interestingly enough, security robots provide much less liability for corporations. We're not going to have a front page article about a guard doing anything risky outside of business or even during business. Robots themselves won't do any physical interdiction. The robots won't be in a situation where emotions from a confrontation are going to escalate and some physical harm is going to come on a human. We don't have those challenges or those risks with robots. And then of course the robots, like your cell phone, get continuously updated with improvements to software and capabilities. So really what we're talking about is robots in the right assignments will provide better security to the people that we're responsible to. And we're responsible to our customers to give them security solutions that are the best possible solution. And security robots are simply one more tool in our tool bag, in your tool bag, to help your customers achieve better security at lower cost. So what you're looking at right here is you're looking at our SMP S5 security robot. First thing I bring to your attention is the fact that it's constructed in such a way that it has all-terrain capability. So we didn't have any videos in this presentation, but I encourage you to check out the website and Vimeo. We've got lots of material on there of the robots going through grass, tall grass, and rock and up hills and over curbs and speed bumps. If there's a path that you can drive a golf cart on, you won't have any problem having this robot do that path as well. So that's a big, big deal for us. The tower, of course, on the back end, that houses a lot of the security sensors. So that's where the cameras are, as well as a couple of the navigation cameras. These robots here are just amazing machines of how they're put together. It's very exciting. It's a fascinating area. We've been deploying these robots for the last few months, and they're just it's fun. It's fun. I really hope you guys will use some of these. So what are the robots going to do? The robots themselves. This preempts a question usually, which is the robots are autonomous. They are not remote control. Well, they are remote control, but generally that's not how you get value. You get value by setting up a patrol and then saying to the robot, okay, go do your work, and the robot buzzes around the patrol, for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, whatever it might be, and does its job, does its patrol looking for humans, collecting other data. So that's kind of how it is. But right now, this particular model robot, a guard or attendee or someone will have to come back and plug it in. With these robots, do not have autonomous charging, not yet. But quite reliably, they will not hit anybody. They will not hit a person. They will not hit a vehicle. The obstacle avoidance system, perfect. We wouldn't be ready for release if we didn't have a reliable obstacle avoidance system. 360 degrees of fixed cameras, pan-tilt zoom. We run a Windows server inside the robot. So right now we have the robot running on Genetech and Milestone. Robotic Assistance Devices is OEMs of both of those VMS companies. So we've got some cool integrations written and some slick software with those guys. Audio is a big deal. We had a success story this past weekend at one of our sites in Reno, and a big distribution site. A vehicle pulled up and used the intercom and then the facility was closed. Used the intercom on the unit to correspond with the SOC and get directions as to what was going on. That was a good application because the robot effectively performed their job, spotted the human, created the alert, engaged the human in two-way audio through an initial challenge announcement, and then the human came on from the SOC and completed his or her security operation procedures, and the person was taken care of. So it was a really good application. Okay, we talked about all weather, and we'll talk about the monitoring and how our ecosystem works shortly. Let's talk about where. PSA's membership has some of the best customers in North America, and we're going to apply in many of those. So originally, when I put this together, I was really focused on utility industry because they have tremendous guard spends. They have federal regulations for security, remote sites that are difficult for people to get to. Just a good application for us. And that market has been responsive to us, very responsive to us. Our first two deployments were in that space. But then what happened was all the corporate healthcare guys, they're like, wow, man, we want to use this in our parking lots and in our open areas and here and there. And I'm like, okay, well, hey, man, voice of the customer. So now we have a lot of things happening in that vertical. And then education, of course, classic applications similar to corporate, but again, very receptive. So these three verticals of how I've divvied it up, I think pretty much cover quite a bit of the industry that overlaps with PSA members, so that's good. Okay, so let's talk about how to do business with RAD, and what is robots as a service. So robots as a service is essentially fancy for rental program. And the way that it works is that you'll understand the RAD solutions, and you'll have customers who want it, or you'll drum up some demand, and then generally what happens is you'll call us, involve us, and we'll help you through questions and sales. And then when it comes down to it, it's like, okay, they want a robot or they want one of our other units. They're just going to pay basically like a rental. So maybe they sign up monthly, or right now we're pretty casual on sign-ups. We're very flexible and easy. This is brand new, and we understand that having mounds of paperwork are going to be an obstacle, so super easy to work with. But you get the robot out there, you get it working, you get everybody happy, and then we just collect a monthly fee. We collect a monthly fee from you, you collect it from your customer. You should earn 30% gross margin on each rental of a robot, and there should be very little real expense for you to deploy a robot because we're doing all the work. So it's like I said, it's a real good plan for integrators. Low cost, low risk, high margin, recurring. So when we do start deploying, a few different pieces will come to play. So the first thing is we're going to send out a sales engineer, or we call them robot engineers. They're going to work with the customer and you, but some of this happens beforehand. So even before we deploy, we have a site assessment. We need to make sure that the customer's expectations are going to meet the robot's capabilities, and that we all have a successful deployment. So in order to do that, we have a little bit of pre-work ahead of time before everybody signs off on it. We have to make sure that we have high chance of success. We have a robot monitoring center where we monitor the robots, all of our robots 24/7. We do telemetry monitoring, and we have a third party that will do security systems monitoring as well. And really, we're just focused on keeping the robots running, keeping them running safely, keeping the customers happy. This is a real brief infographic about how communications between the systems work. This is important because it adds to the value of the robot, because the software is the stickiness. The robot itself is the device. You're gonna find that we're gonna be releasing different types of robots for different situations and different markets. What's gonna stay consistent is the customer experience through the software. So on my left, I guess on your left too, we have the two devices that we have available for rental either now or in the next month or two, and those are going to persistently talk to the cloud, and that's where we do our data storage. Most of the data storage from there, we'll serve it down to the robot monitoring center, which is the RMC, and that's where customers' security operations or standard operating procedures can take place. That's where we have two-way communication back to the robot. But at the same time, we're going to be releasing our Android app, which is going to allow a lot of the same RMC functions, but to happen off of an Android tablet. That's going to open up new opportunities, because now situations where you have a single guard covering 4 areas or 8 areas, now all of a sudden that guard is going to be able to be mobile and have eyes and ears with maybe a situation where they don't have a security operations center. So it allows people at a very low cost to kind of really significantly up their security abilities. Okay, so what do we have? We have the robot that I showed you the anatomy of, and then we have our first homegrown 100% RAD solution, which is what we named Scott. Scott is a tower that performs all the functions of the robot. So it does human detection, it does long-range paging, it does intercom, it's got the light bar up there so it's easy to communicate. It's battery powered, so you just drop it wherever you want. It's easy. There's no no patrol programming to do. And that you're going to see live at PSA Tech. It's going to be very exciting. And there's one surprise with Scott that I didn't mention on the call. Again, teasing you to come out to our booth at PSA Tech. It's just a great unit. I think that this unit for the integrator market is going to be even better than the robots, because this unit, it fits what you guys do, which is provide and blanket facilities with CCTV and electronic security. Those hard to reach corners or those expensive areas that the customer doesn't want to apply a large capital project to, this product just drops in place. It's remote, portable, self-sufficient, highly equipped with a lot of electronics, and of course it falls under our robots as a service rental model. So you guys make your margin, customer can expense the item. They can capitalize it as well if they feel like it, but it's just an easy add to what you guys are already doing. Okay, so we're going to be in booth 206 during PSA Tech. Very excited about it. I think I have an education session which you'll hear about through the other marketing and presentation work that PSA, Julie and her team will do. And I think that's where we're at.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. I actually had a couple of questions that came in here. The first one is how does RAD integrate the robots and future products into an organization's SOP?
Okay, so what we're going to do is the SOPs from the customer. First of all, we love customers that have well-developed SOPs because it makes our life a lot easier. It gives us something to work from. What we want to do is we want to understand what those SOPs are, and then we're going to say, okay, the robot can do this. The robot will take the SOP to, you know, the fifth step, and then the human's going to come in and execute the rest of the SOP. And similarly, because we have this robot that does all these things all the time, some of those SOPs in turn are going to get changed. So now, if you're adding to an organization, we're adding another layer of security. So let's say that the layer that's existing is going to be video and access on the building, but the customer wants a little bit more. They want another layer outside the building, so we're the new layer. So maybe we have to just develop some SOPs and include them into the organization's existing SOPs. One of the reasons why Matt Clock is on board is his history is on the guarding side for almost 20 years with some of the big, mostly just the big guys. So he's well experienced on helping to create those SOPs and integrate them. I don't know if I was specific enough in that answer. I'll add one more thing. Part of the SOPs has to do with the video management system. So I mentioned earlier that right now we're running in integrated versions of Milestone and Genetec. So part of the SOP would be upon human detection, the customer's existing video wall is going to, you know, pop up with the robot and da-da-da-da-da. So there's a little bit of coordination. A lot of it depends on what the customer is running and has right now.
Great, thank you. Okay, another question that came through. How much training does RAD provide to use this new technology?
A lot. And I said that early on. I said we had surprisingly mature pieces of our company for our size and our length of business and time. We've been around just coming up on 2 years right now. We have a video library demonstrating certain functions, from mundane functions like how do you plug the robot in to the charger, right? So we have a video about that to some of the more complex stuff like connecting for remote control and all these different things. So we have this group of video libraries. I think there's 20 to 30 videos in there. All of them are less than 60 seconds. All of them are meant to be easily accessed from the field remotely, so you can just pull it up and see how to do it. In addition to that, we have what we call level 1, 2, and 3 online trainings. And these online trainings, like level one, is about an hour long. It's suitable for all the members of an integration company plus the end users company as well. And this really focuses on what I call robot rules. And it's meant to familiarize people with, hey, we're going to get a robot on site, or hey, we're an integrator, we're going to start reselling robots. What does that mean? What do these robots do? Da 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 da. So level one can go to any audience. It's going to go through the rules. Some of the rules are pretty simple, like, don't operate the robot within 6 feet of children, and you have to be X amount of age to operate a robot, and don't be intoxicated, like simple stuff like that, to some more complex stuff. Level two is kind of like the on-site operator guys training. This is where we get into showing them how to remote control and how to plug in and some of the intricacies. But level two is really for staff that's going to take over after we leave. So the robot's already programmed, it's already trained, all the stuff is already done, and it's just for that kind of position that might change or roll over as people get reassigned. Then they can just go through level one, level two, and they'll be capable of running the robot on their facility. Level three would be for technicians of the integration companies who want to learn more, who are committed to the robots and RAD, and want to take it to the next level. And they're like, hey, I want to do my trainings, I want to do my programming, I want to do my route patrols. No problem, whatever you want. Let's do level three. And now those are basically our training program. You're going to find that there's a lot of work done up front, like I said, so we have a fairly comprehensive site assessment. As we go through that site assessment, a lot of information about what the robot can and can't do is also shared to the customer. So for me, training is important because it's part of the customer experience. So that's why it's mature and developed. Training, software, implementation processes, all these have to be pretty refined. And after doing this for a year or so, like, in terms of having robots actually at customer sites, like I said, I'm pretty confident that you're going to have a good experience with it.
Excellent. Okay, one more question that came through. How easy to use is the software if it needed to be managed on its own?
Great question. It's a judgmental question. Obviously, I think that it's pretty easy, but I'll give you a little bit of substance for that. There's multiple software packages that make up the software that runs the robot and runs the SCOT units. So let's start from the robot side. The robot software that runs the navigation systems in the robot, the primary interface is pretty simple. You're going to have a screen. It's called WinNav. It's going to have an image of the facility and a whole bunch of like little waypoints showing you where the robot thinks it needs to go. At each of those waypoints, you could have it stop and wait or perform a couple other functions. This wasn't the presentation to get into that. So that's the primary go-to robot navigation software that integrators and customers will use and look at. Behind that, there's all kinds of like other software that would be available to a level 4 guy, so not a level 3 guy, but a level 4 guy. That's where we get into the specifics of the visual navigation and the GPS, and we can kind of really diagnose as to where the robot is and thinks it is, and we can fine-tune it. That's work that we'll do in the background that customers won't see and integrators won't see. So WinNav, easy. Let's talk about the VMS integration. Obviously, Genetec or Milestone at this point, already done, easy. The human detection software that's going to run and produce alerts a couple different ways. The first way it's going to, so first of all, when the human detection software is running, it's running in the background. There is no customer-facing or integrator-facing interface available. We don't want people staring at human detection. We want human detection to do its job and detect the humans and then feed the alert to Milestone or Genetec. Also feed the alert to Azure, to the cloud, where the customer could pull up their RAD dashboard, So they're light dashboard designed to be off of any mobile device or your computer, and they have their list of alerts. Along with the alert is the snapshot of the detection event. Super easy, hosted and managed by us, and gets frequently updated as we add features. The first two units are, owned and can be easily managed by the customer without involvement from us. The third one, the RAD dashboard, which is an essential part of a good customer experience, can certainly be ported into a customer's cloud service if they want, and we can certainly make accommodations for the right customer depending on what the requirements are for data security or for data ownership.
Excellent. Well, that looks like this is all the questions that we had for today. If you'd like to review this presentation again or would like to pass it along, we will have a recorded version of it posted soon. You can find it by visiting psasecurity.com/education. Thank you very much to Steve Reinhardt of RAD. Steve's contact information is posted here for questions after today's presentation. Please visit our website, that's psasecurity.com, to be sure that you are leveraging all that PSA Security Network has to offer. On our homepage, you can access our future webinar events, this recording, educational offerings, and business solutions. This will conclude today's presentation. Thanks again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.